It's been an interesting couple of years when you look at infrastructure and the bandwidth needs, and particularly looking at the U.S. equity options. Right, we added support for all those exchanges a couple of years ago, and we're committed now to providing access to all U.S. equity options exchanges at any time in any way somebody wants it. But the increase in volumes in the last couple of years, you see the rise of retail traders entering the market or zero-day options being launched. Volumes are blowing up right now. And going back to 2 years ago, you saw OPRA cross the magical 40 gig threshold, right, which is a magic number that has massive and profound implications for your infrastructure. So it's not just making sure that now your networks are 100 gig capable and you can transport options data successfully across your network, but it's also, there was a cost element of it is too, right? You now need an additional pair of handoffs to receive that OPRA data. You had new exchanges popping up. We had the launch of MEMX options and MyX Sapphire. So now you have additional venues where you need to get additional handoffs and add capacity to your network to handle those. And then that OPRA event where it eclipsed the magical 40 gig number, we're now starting to see in other areas too, right? Right now we're working through it with NASDAQ, where you can't take all the NASDAQ markets through a single pair of 40 gig handoffs. So it's this, you're starting to see a tail of a trend that began about 2 years ago where bandwidth, it's always been increasing, but now it's starting to hit these magic numbers that require pretty massive infrastructure builds and efforts to keep your infrastructure up and running. So that's been a big area of our focus the last couple of years.
Yeah, TNS was the first to launch a mutualized layer one solution. And, we obviously value, our ability to support these scalable layer one, low latency solutions for our clients. And with the growth of U.S. equity options, we've needed to turn our research into how do we get increased bandwidth at, the lowest possible latency. And so we're continuing to invest in 40 gig layer one and 100 gig layer one so that firms can take the high bandwidth feeds for U.S. equity options without compromising on latency. And I think that's a really important thing that we've been doing lately to ensure that clients have what they need to have successful trading strategies. I also think that what's important is that we've scaled as quickly as the number of markets have scaled in terms of the U.S. equity option space. So as you pointed out, with MyX launching a new exchange, MEMX, IEX, TNS boasts, 100% coverage in that asset class. And ultimately that allows firms to come to TNS and get everything they need for U.S. equity options.
And it's only going to continue, right? The bandwidth story's only been going one direction, as long as I've been in this industry. So I think you're still going to continue to see that trickle down across other platforms as time goes by. You also have a number of new exchanges that have announced they're going to launch that we're still going to see roll out in 2025 and 2026. So everything seems to be going in one direction, right? This is something that's only going to continue.